All right, let's turn our focus to this now. President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver the State of the Nation address on Thursday. What are South Africans hoping to hear from the president? Well, we are now joined by via video link by Matshidiso Lencoasa, budget analyst at Section 27. Matshidiso, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. So I've been looking at your report, that is titled Nation Building Begins with Rebuilding Public Services. You argue in that report that the State of the Nation address has, increasingly become aspirational, with commitments quietly scaled back when the budget is tabled. From your vantage point, is there a growing credibility gap between SONA, their promises, and fiscal reality, do you think?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Yes, that is exactly it. For many years, I think, throughout the SONA become something of a political spectacle where there is or things that are happening around the SONA, but then when it comes to the lived reality of people in this country, of course, the real state of the nation is felt at public services and the public service realization. And so it just seems that I think many South Africans can agree with me with this, is that it feels that there are many promises that are made, and then 2 weeks later, the budget speech doesn't seem to fund these promises. And then you wonder, how is the government supposed to realize these deliverables? This has been the rhetoric for the past several SONAs, but I do believe that this year marks an opportunity to course correct in the interest of nation building and rebuilding and a great opportunity to do is, in the context of matching the SONA with funded commitments is through this budget speech, which is that, we are seeing economic an economic forecast that is not as bleak as in previous years. It might not be the ideal, but we are seeing higher than expected revenue collection from SARS. We're also seeing windfalls.
All right, let's pause, Matshidiso, there. Apologies for that. All right, let's continue then back to one of our top stories and speak about the State of the Nation address that is happening this Thursday. Continue our conversation with Matshidiso Lencoasa, budget analyst at Section 27. Matshidiso, of course, you were giving us that response about this not being an aspirational speech, but really a speech of delivery. We've also seen provinces, return hundreds of millions of rands to Treasury due to underspending, which is of concern. While schools, especially clinics, hospitals, they remain in dire states. I mean, some of them really crumbling. When you look at the current crisis, as it also relates to, your scholar transport, your water infrastructure maintenance challenges, we're always told about budget constraints. At what point does underspending become a failure, really, of governance rather than capacity?
Yes, I think that's a really good point. The underspending is really one of the ways that South Africans or people who use public services, public health services, public schooling system, for example, are really failed. And so I think our view has been for much of our advocacy is that we really have a problem with both. So it's not one or the other. We have a problem with both underfunding, but also the little money that goes towards these programs has not been spent in, we have programs, we have departments that return money to Treasury, which is really just egregious in a context where there is every single rand could make a difference. Really, this State of the Nation address, though, is an opportunity to correct that. So for many years, the president has referred to building a state that is capable of delivering, of building a nation in turn. So a capable state is one that can actually spend the money, the budget that is allocated towards it, because this underspending, traditionally the response to that would be to then reduce the budget or to take that money and reallocate it towards paying debt, for instance. But the need doesn't go away. I mean, we see with scholar transport, we see with emergency medical services, the need is still there, Whether the provincial department or the local municipality is capable of spending the money or not is a different story. And so we're really looking forward to a State of the Nation address that isn't just political promises, but that is actually quite serious about building a capable state. And that would mean accountability, better planning and procurement, to ensuring that every single rand of funding that goes towards these programs actually ends up in better quality public services.
Matshidiso, I appreciate your time. Of course, the State of the Nation address happening on Thursday. We will be speaking to Section 27 again, I have no doubt. But thank you so much for your analysis and your time. Of course, that is Matshidiso Lencoasa, budget analyst at Section 27.